welcome to World Talks on TVP World with me, Ashim Kumar. Romanian President Klaus Iohannis has stepped down just before an impeachment vote by Parliament. The vote was sparked by Iohannis' decision to remain in office after the cancellation of the country's presidential election by the Constitutional Court last year. The decision to remain in position until the rerun election, scheduled for May this year, also ignited protests across the nation. So what happens next? Well, joining us is political analyst Eusebiu Slavitescu to unpack the implications of the situation. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me again.
Pleasure, as always. So I mean, okay, the whole thing was sparked by the release of classified information.
Yes.
800 TikTok accounts, which was suddenly activated just before.
And more than that.
More than 800.
Yeah. We now have confirmed reports, or about 60,000 bots that were activated.
60,000 TikTok bots were activated just before the election.
Like a week or two. We now know around, again, confirmed reports yet to be confirmed. We now know around 60 million euros have been pushed in through intermediaries, which is sort of difficult to see where this money comes from. So the president only declassified the briefing of the intelligence community and not the report upon the briefing was wrote, which we are still waiting, and he didn't declassify it. Maybe the new president will.
Understood. Now, 60,000 is a far cry from the 800 which was initially reported. Curious about the timing.
Yeah.
Right? Because they were declassified, as you say, a matter of 2 or 3 weeks before the elections. Why not earlier?
I'm guessing our intelligence community has been somehow fully unprepared for this. Although in the region, Russia has done it. We've seen it in Georgia and the chaos that followed. We saw it in Moldova, although Moldova was way more resilient, prepared. Well, we weren't. We sort of took it as easily, as a joke. And then it happened. So I guess the time for them to realize what actually happened, well, is that time. Again, we are talking about highly sophisticated informational warfare. It took France after 2017 a few years to fully establish. So we are now on ongoing full investigation. Let's hope we are going to have more information. The sooner, the better.
Understood. But it seems to have made an impact, does it not? I mean, the person who was being supported by these bots, Călin Georgescu. He's before now little known. He's a NATO skeptic. He seems to be pro-Russia.
He is pro-Russia.
So 60,000 TikTok accounts seem to have had an impact because he's popular all of a sudden. Would you agree?
Well, he's popular if you push the right algorithms at the right time. It's what Russia has done in perfect sync with their Chinese friends, not just in Romania, but they did it all over the world, in Latin America, in Africa. This web of disinformation working in perfect sync, it's formidable. And it was also activated in Romania. I'm expecting it to also affect the Polish presidential elections, although Poland is way more prepared. And Polish citizens are way more careful for historical reason and others. Well, we weren't, and we saw the results. Just to come back, Mr. Georgescu is not just NATO skeptic. He hates it. The same with the European Union. Which is funny because a poll a couple of weeks ago found out that around 80% of Romanians are fully pro-Europeans, are fully pro-NATO. Only 10% have positive regards towards Russia.
And this poll was carried out when?
I think it was a couple of weeks ago. End of the year or beginning of 2025, yes.
And yet we're still seeing protests in support of Georgescu. His supporters are saying that the election was stolen from him. In parliamentary elections too, the far right or the right wing did well. So is it fair to say that it's just these bots that is influencing public opinion? I mean, you know...
No, it's not fair.
No.
So there's a cocktail of grievances.
Okay.
On the one side, 10 years of almost absent president. So all of this anger was channeled towards President Klaus Iohannis. It is why yesterday's decision to resign. It has to be seen in two steps. For the Romanian society, my guess, it's a good decision, because he was the face of all this anger. So to some extent, I'm hoping, let's see how it happens, that all of this so-called patriot frenzy will dissipate slowly. Again, we don't know. It all depends on the government, the actions of the government, all of this. But it remains to be seen. I mean, and also the second step, when you look outside of Romania, what happens in the region with the Trump administration that uses imperialist language, right? Canada, Greenland, now Gaza. When you have Poland, for example, and I applaud Poland for this, signing consolidated and enhanced security agreements with the UK, with the Nordics, because situation has become sort of very complicated. We have never been in a moment as dangerous as this. The liberal international world has never been threatened, and right now by the country who created this international world, United States. So Romania is absolutely absent from all of this. We have American Defense Secretary coming to Warsaw, to Berlin, to Paris, to Belgium, but not Romania.
Not to Bucharest.
Because with whom will he speak? With an interim president? What legitimacy?
Okay, so in terms of legitimacy and influence power, how does that compare, the Romanian president's power compare with that of Parliament on the EU stage and the NATO stage?
So we have a semi-presidential republic, where on foreign policy, security, the president has a lot to say. He represents Romania in the European Council, NATO summits. So without a president or an interim one, it's really hard to be part of all these incredibly momentous and important meetings that are taking place right now. We have nobody in Munich Security Conference, where everybody is there.
Right, so it's not looking particularly good for Romania's relationship with those international bodies. However, you say that still, 90% of the Romanian population is pro-EU and pro-NATO.
Yeah.
What happens now?
Well, I'm hoping we'll see, because now our political parties, they seem to have gotten back to business as usual, as if we didn't just dodge a bullet. So let's see how this all plays out with the new president, who is going to be the president of the Senate, who is going to be sworn in tomorrow.
But he's the interim president until May.
Interim for 4 months, until May. Again, Romania is the first country in the EU to nuke elections, presidential elections. We are the first country to have a president extending over his legal mandate. And it's the first time in our still fragile democracy when the president resigns. So there is a lot of moving pieces there.
Absolutely. Is there something that NATO and the European Union can do to help stabilize the situation, to get the political system back on track?
So they already started by supporting the decision of the brave constitutional judge, I would say, to cancel these elections, because they were no transparent nor free. So all of our allies, including United States, all our European allies have displayed support for this decision. But again, it's not enough just one briefing. We need to know what happened. We need to declassify that full report made by intelligence services, because what we know now, and we didn't know at the time, is that it's not just Russian massive interference, which it was. It's also a lot of factions from within the intelligence apparatus, mostly those who worked in the former Securitatea, and who are nostalgic of communism. We're talking about reservists of the MOD. We're talking to some extent even factions within the Orthodox Church who transparently ask their folks to vote for Mr. Călin Georgescu. So this is also a matter of national security.
So a deeply embedded power structure, if you like.
Because just to add one more comment, please. Mr. Georgescu is not an outside man.
Right.
He is a man of the system. During the communism, he was traveling outside Romania, and only high-ranking officials of the communist regime, the communist criminal regime, were allowed to do that.
Understood. Well, we'll be watching very carefully. I'm sure we'll see you again to analyse what's going on. Thank you very much, as always.
Thank you for having me.
Coming along. And that's all from this episode of World Talks. Goodbye for now.